Hark! 'Tis I with a lark for us all, not just a lark as in fun times, jackanapes and crazy hijinks, but also the Lark single malt whiskey from my own homeland here in Australia, coming at you in just a few moments. Yes, that's right. This will be my second Aussie whiskey sampled on the channel. Second comes straight after first. Just ask Buzz Aldrin. And I'm really looking forward to this. So the Lark Distillery is the brainchild of a man named Bill, you guessed it, Lark. Apparently Bill Lark was sipping some whiskey with his father-in-law, and he came up with the idea while he was in the Highlands of Scotland to start his own distillery here in the land of Oz, having to get permission, of course, first from the Wizard and Glinda, the Good Witch of the North. The distillery itself is located in the state of Tasmania. Tasmania is an island state, and the distillery is nestled in the Coal River Valley. Coal River, you're rivering in style. The Lark Distillery was recently purchased by Australia's version of the whiskey monster, Australian Whisky Holdings. So let us have a turn around, have a squiz at the bottle, and see what we're dealing with. Bill Lark's dream of producing whiskey in Tasmania began on a fishing trip to the Highland Lakes. Bill not only created the original Australian single malt, he pioneered an industry and set the benchmark for the style and quality that makes Tasmania famous. I don't think he's made Tasmania that famous. I think that task was already achieved by the Tasmanian Devil. It's kind of sad when a state's entire identity is based around a character that doesn't even exist. It's a synthetic cork, so once again the nosing of the cork will not be occurring on this particular evening. Alright, so the whiskey details. This is a single malt. It's an Australian single malt. It has an ABV of 43%, so that's pretty good for us frequent lovers of the malt. These have been matured in the 100-litre casks, which I believe are one of the smaller barrelings that you can use to mature your whiskey. So that's mentioned at the front. It says small cask matured, and that's what they mean by that. Let's give it a nose. It's very malty. A little bit of spice. Definitely some toffee influences. A little bit of smoke, peat smoke. Those spices kind of develop into a nutmeg. Dried fruits. And figs. Very good. I suppose the benefit of being matured in a smaller cask, I suppose there's a greater deal of interaction between the whiskey and the wood. So that should be coming out in both the nose and the taste. There's a lot of sweetness. Some peat smoke. The malt kicks in. It's very nice. Sweetness, peat, and malt together, for me, I think, are very, very nice. On my second taste, I'm now getting a bit more of an appley vibe, and a little bit of caramel as well. Interesting. Very good. So I would call this a medium finish. Hangs around. It is carried through a little bit by the peat smoke. There's a touch of vanilla in the finish, and starting to get a bit more of that oakiness coming towards the end. It's very good. All those flavors and the nose are very bold. They're very pronounced. You're not having to really search for them. They're kind of just there, and that is very good. That's very appealing. Well, the Lark Classic Cask. I have just basked in its presence, and I'm quite happy and glad, satisfied that I have indeed. Very nice. I like the boldness of the flavor profile. It's not crazy. It's not a million different flavors bombarding you, but the ones that are there are very bold. They're very distinct. It's very sippable, very quaffable, and yes, I would certainly recommend it if you can find it. My brother was actually in Tasmania recently, and he visited the distillery, and all they had on offer were these 100 milliliter bottles. But also recently, I did happen to see that they are now must be reselling the larger 500 ml bottles again. So keep an eye out for those if you are interested. I'd also like to give a very warm thank you to two of my fellow whiskey tubers. The first is Food Quig, who he did a live stream recently, and both he and Malted in Montreal, Swami of Malted in Montreal, gave me a very, very kind shout out and spruiked my channel, and I noticed that I have a new bevy of subscribers. I would like to give Swami a personal thank you. He has been, I can honestly say that every single time I've had a swell in subscribers, it's been due to Swami. In the unlikely event that you're a subscriber of mine and you haven't subscribed to Swami, give him a look. He hasn't done a review for a while, but he does a lot of live streaming. And, you know, he talks quite a bit on his live streams about the state of the whiskey affairs, which is a great way to sort of take a break from the more serious news stories that are just plain depressing. If you don't want to be depressed, check out Swami Malted in Montreal. And thank you also to Food Quig for shouting me out. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this review. I know I certainly had a fun time of it. We Aussies do some good whiskey, I'm happy to say. And I look forward to sampling another whiskey for all you salty dogs very, very soon.